So everybody was pretty much vigilant all the time, getting ready for the fighters.
Yeah.
How would you know? Would it come over the radio, or?
Well, we had radio silence most of the time.
Most of the time.
But then afterwards, when you got, who was it we had in command over there? It's just radio silence. And then he'd announce where we were going, so they'd get them up there, and they'd have the fighter planes ready to get in. That's where they were shooting down the German fighters, see? Because we had planes that were more maneuverable with the 250, with the 51. That could outmaneuver them.
Right.
And we had we had air superiority as far as I'm concerned, I mean, and like that. And
now they call it the Flying Fortress for a reason.
Oh, it was, with all the guns on it. I mean, you had 2 in the nose with the bombardier, 1 with the navigator. You had 2 with the top turret, 2 with the ball turret, 2 with the tail gun, and a single gun on each waist side, and everything else. You had a lot of power.
And they were all 50 caliber.
Yeah, all 50 caliber.
All belt-fed 50 caliber.
In fact, we come back sometimes and your feet would be buried in shells from off in the gun.
Right.
Because we used a lot of ammunition over there when we went over. Because if you got tagged, you really...
Now, where was your normal position? Like
when I first started out, I was a flight engineer. LeBlanc flew in the turret, top turret, and I flew at one of the waist windows. And then after that, when I got Tagelier, I was in the nose, flying, shooting the guns in the nose.
Right.
And that's where I wound up. I waist gun to the nose and that. So you had 2 engineers. One engineer always would be in the top turret, and the other engineer would be somewhere in the plane, you know, waist gun or something like that. Until they moved us and that. Right. But I never found out what happened to the navigator that we had. You know, I mean, Thompson. I never found out what happened to him.
Why he didn't show up? Why he didn't make that?
He was flying with another crew. He was flying with another crew
because somebody else needed that position.
So that's why, see, they moved me up there.
Right.
And put one of the other guys in the waist gun, moved me up to the nose to take.
Because normally that would be an officer position.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
So in your case, you were enlisted. You were a staff sergeant at that time.
Yeah.
So they put you in that position, and you were called something different.
Tagelier. Yeah, we were called Tageliers up there, because we'd be in formation, and we'd be in number 2 or number 3 plane, and the lead bombardier, when he'd open the doors, we'd open the doors, and when he dropped his bombs, we'd drop the bombs.
Now, how did you just watched them?
Oh yeah, you just keep your eye on him.
Knew.
We didn't have to use the sight.
Where the bombs were going to be dropped.
Yeah.
So you didn't use the bomb. You just
didn't have
watched
to use
him.
it.
Gotcha. He was the only one that had the sight.
In other words, he was directing us right over the target, and then when he dropped his bombs, we'd drop ours, which would be almost simultaneously. I mean,
Sure.
And when you see his go, you'd release yours, and of course, when you get on the run, you open the bomb bay doors anyway, and you're watching the lead bombardier. The minute he dropped, you'd drop.
Right.
And that was the way we were. In fact, the day we got shot down, we went into one target. It was covered by cumulus clouds. Says we'll go to an alternate target. And they swung to an alternate target, and that's when we got hit with the fighters, because our fighter planes had left us and gone back. Right. So that's when they hit us, boy. They hit us good. I don't know how many planes they shot down that day, but
I was researching that just to see what happened on March 23rd. On March 23rd, 1944, there were 17 or 18 B-17s that were shot down over Germany. In your group, the 326th, there were 4 shot down.
4 planes shot down out of our group.
Out of your group, right.
I didn't know. See, this is something we never found out. See?
Right, yeah.
And, of course, then when you get out of the POW camp, all you're thinking is, go home. Just go home. Go home.
Right.
And they come back here, and they treat us good when we get back here.
Yeah. March 23rd, you get up at what time in the morning?
We got up early in the morning, let's say 1 o'clock in the morning. Everything was ready. The pilot and co-pilot and them had to go to rendezvous for briefing. They went to briefing especially. Then they'd come out of the plane. We're in it all set and ready.
So you didn't do another briefing?
No.
You just get on like you're going to do a normal bombing raid?
Well, the pilot let us know when he come in. We're going to Berlin or wherever it was. He'd let you know where you're going.
And I believe on that day you were going to go near Hamm, Germany, or Munster, Germany.
Yeah.
And you were supposed to bomb, I think, a plane manufacturing plant or something like that.
Usually that's what we hit, manufacturing plants, stuff like that. So.
And then, like you said, I guess you took off for the mission, got to the bombing site, and it was cloudy.
Cloudy.
So they had to pick a secondary
Change a
site.
secondary flight, that's right.
And that was supposed to be, from what I can find out, the Lippstadt airport.
I was in the nose gunner, and all of a sudden I seen this FW-190 coming at me.
That's the
and
Fokker
I'm
Wolf.
firing at him, and he's firing. The next thing I know, shell comes through the nose of the ship, past me, and exploded under the pilot and co-pilot. The other one took off our left wing. And the minute I tried to move to try to get somewhere so I could get out of the plane, I knew it was hit. And the last thing I remember is falling forward, and it felt like my face was going through plexiglass or something. I didn't know. And the next thing I knew, I fallen probably 10,000 feet or better, come to, and I automatically pulled the ripcord because I had that new blanket chute, semi-conscious or unconscious, so the cold air brought me to.
I've read some of the mission statements from that day, and apparently the navigator behind you, because of that centrifugal force that would occur once that plane started to spiral, apparently blew into you and knocked you out, or maybe you got knocked out a little bit first.
It could be,
And
yeah.
he apparently must have broken the glass fully, which knocked you both out.
Yeah, that knocked both of us out of the plane.
You had your parachute
The
on.
new type blanket chute, which one of the fellows that had finished his tour told me that, Frank, you're flying a nose, don't carry the chest type, because we never wear them while we're going. We leave them there next to us to snap on if we need them. And he says, wear the new blanket chute type chutes, which goes across about that wide and underneath you. And that's what I had on. The couple of missions or so that I flew as Toggler, I had the blanket type chute on. And Legason, of course, naturally, he didn't have his on. It was laying next to him. So he didn't have his chute on.
So apparently he fell into you and completed the breaking of the glass of the nose, I guess, and you must have both fallen out. What woke you up?
Just falling through air. All of a sudden, I knew I was falling. And
It was March, so it had to be cold.
It was cold, and I shook my head, and I reached up and pulled the ripcord, and then while I was coming down, just before I hit the ground, I seen the FW-190 come around down like that. He didn't shoot at me, he just wanted to verify that, you know, I was coming down.
That maybe you were alive? Or,
yeah. He didn't shoot at me, and he was letting them on the ground know that a bomber member was coming down. So the minute I landed, they were right there.
How many were there?
Just the one got me, that's all.
One. So
then
one gathered up, he had a rifle, whatever.
Yeah, he was a Wehrmacht, I guess they told me, old German army. And he just pointed the gun and, for you, the war is over. That's all I can remember him saying that. And then they marched me into the farmhouse, and then they stripped me down. Of course, we had escape money in those air pants and stuff like that.
Right.
And the farmers and the people of the farm took all of that. Don't worry, they got all of that, or maybe they shared.
How much money did they give you for
I
escape?
don't know what it was. I never even looked at it. I mean, it was francs and stuff like that.
It was always there.
It was always there in case we needed it.
Did you carry a weapon?
No.
Right.
We had a weapon. We always left them in the barracks.
Right.
Because if you had a weapon on you, for what they told us, they'll shoot you. Well, before I went to Frankfurt, they kept me overnight in a jail there, local jail there, and they had come, you know, and kids were throwing stones at the barred windows and stuff like that.
Oh dear.
And then they had officers come around, you know, and they ask you questions. And
so Jack Bogle,
he had to be around somewhere because they must have taken him to Frankfurt too. And I didn't get to see him until we got Stalag Luft 1.
What happened at the Dulag, they call it, right? The Dulag Luft.
They get in there and they'd ask you questions, and naturally you get them. Staff Sergeant Frank D. Adams, 324-76329. And I remember the number just like it was yesterday. I had it. And
name, rank, and serial number.
Yeah, name, rank, and serial number, that's all. And they keep pumping you. The same thing. You repeat it to them.
Right.
And but some of them are pretty good. It says, yeah, you Frank Adams? Yeah. Give them my name, rank, and serial number and everything else. You work for Bayman Schmidt Market on Butternut Street.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They knew all about me boxing amateur and everything. They knew everything.
Right.
I mean, they knew everything about everything. And it was funny. They took me out of there, and that's when they put us in the 40 and 8. That's
Right.
when we all got in that
The train. Boxcar train, and they shipped you north.
We shipped us north. I don't know how long it took, but it took quite a while.
A couple days.
Nothing. No, I mean, you had to go. You just
Went there.
went to the
Did they feed you?
no.
And this is March.
Oh yeah, went to the doors. You'd open the door if you had a pee or something like that. If you had a cramp, you had to take and get a big bag if you could find something, put it on and throw it out. And
Did you fear that they were going to shoot you?
only at the train station we had the SS troops were a bunch of no good so and so's. But the German officer in charge of us to go on that train to go up north.
Right.
They started saying something, and he must have been higher ranking than that, and he told them off in no uncertain terms. I'm in charge of this group, or something like that anyway. And they didn't touch us, and they loaded us on the train, and that's when we headed up to Germany.